Hello, I love you. Won't you tell me your name? In this video, I will not tell you about the spectacular Ukrainian counteroffensive in September. There were hundreds of articles and videos that already explain that and what a brilliant attack that was and how much land Ukraine reclaimed in just 1 week. Was that 6,000 square kilometers or 8,000 square kilometers? Does the number really matter in this case? In this video, I will raise a few questions that nobody seems to ask about this counteroffensive. By the way, does anyone really understand if 6,000 square kilometers of reclaimed land is a lot or not? The reason I ask is because no officials and no Zelensky that claims that give any comparisons or point of reference for clear understanding of this achievement. In any case, on the map it looks like a pretty big piece of land, and that's good enough for me. My first and very important question is about the cost. What did this Ukrainian counteroffensive cost the Ukraine and Ukrainian people? And I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about arms or other military equipment. I am talking lives. How many Ukrainian lives did this successful counteroffensive cost? Can it be really called a victory or a successful operation? Unfortunately, we'll never know because information about lives lost in the action is considered top secret and never released. Do you know why it is top secret? Do you? Because politicians would never admit their mistakes and would not pay for their own decisions. Neither Russia nor Ukraine release any information about losses, but at the same time they make claims about losses of the opposite side. And while this information is far from being reliable, there is no other source, and we have to take it as a first reference. According to the Russian claims, and again, I understand these are only claims, Ukraine has lost about 10,000 soldiers in 1 week of the counteroffensive. 10,000 lives. These numbers were claimed on a daily basis, and when added came to this astonishing number. In addition to the dead, there are potentially 2-3 times that number of wounded soldiers. That would mean Ukraine took out of commission about 20% of its total military force in that 1 week. So I ask again, is this a real victorious counteroffensive? Was it worth 10,000 Ukrainian lives? Has it broken the spirits of Russian forces? Has it reclaimed some really valuable assets that may affect the stability of Ukrainian power supply, water supply, arms supply? Anything? What actually makes us believe that this is the beginning of the end of the Russian invasion, besides reporters and politicians claiming so? I wish it was true, but only time will tell. My second very important question is about civilians' lives in the reclaimed territories. This matter is not widely broadcasted by the Western news outlets, but it does not mean it's not happening. I am talking about Ukrainian civilians that are treated as treasonous, cooperating with the enemy on the reclaimed territories. Russians were there for many months. They established local governing bodies, managed schools, medical institutions, and other public services. Locals that did not run from the Russians and stay at their homes are now subjugated to interrogations, imprisonments, and even executions, regardless of their ethnicity. There is a lot of information about that on social media, on local media. There were threats from the Ukrainian government-affiliated people, like Alexei Arestovich, this guy. He said He openly says that after the arrival of the armed forces of Ukraine, they will not stand on ceremony with all these people that cooperated with the Russian military authorities. He says, and I quote, "The best thing you can do is to go to your beloved Russia, because otherwise the weather is such that it is either death or prison." There are claims from the Ukrainian politicians with pro-Russian positions, such as Oleg Tsarov, that guy. He writes that on the territory of the Kharkiv region, after the flight of the Russian army and the arrival of the armed forces of Ukraine, sweeps and filtration measures are being carried out with mass executions of those suspected in cooperation. Where is the United Nations organization then? Shouldn't they be present there? Shouldn't they observe and assure the human rights of the local Ukrainians are upheld? Shouldn't they organize an immediate peacekeeping mission there? Are they not aware of it? Do you think UN does not know exactly what is happening with civilians in the territories that are reclaimed by opposite enemies? Do they not have experience in multiple conflicts in Africa? Did they not have missions in Bosnia, Serbia, Kosovo, and other former Yugoslavia territories not so far away from the Ukraine, actually? Why are the big media concerned about it? They're only telling us about the Russian atrocities. But are the Ukrainian forces white and fluffy? My third important question is about the increased American involvement in the Ukrainian counteroffensive. This is a very dangerous matter that brings a lot of speculative thoughts. Let me explain. In the beginning of the Russian invasion, the NATO and the US and other countries said they would not get actively involved in this conflict, but only support Ukraine with supplying weapons, equipment, finances, and so on. The reason they did not want to provoke Russia. It needs to stay a local conflict without direct NATO countries' involvement. Pretty clear, isn't it? But now we can see from the news and social media that US has increased the stakes in this conflict. These are open channels that supply Ukraine with all sorts of intelligence. There are obvious involvements of American private military companies, potentially holiday workers, former or current US military personnel that is not officially approved by the US. There are acting US and NATO top brass that are involved in the tactical decisions. There are comments and statements from their high-ranking officers about involvement in the strategic planning for the next few years of the conflict, and so on. And let's leave aside the discussions about more powerful arms supply. Does that mean NATO and the US are no longer concerned about being directly involved in the Ukrainian war? Do they disregard the possibility of crossing the notorious red line and provoking Russia to step up their game? I understand this is only a rhetorical question, since no real intelligence information or plans would be available for the general public. But it doesn't make me comfortable, since I do not necessarily trust the decision makers. Do you? Good day.